Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Clams. I'm Will, and I'm out here on the North Fork of Long Island. Tomorrow morning, I am going diving for striped bass, but I'm enjoying the day on the North Fork here. But one of the most exciting things, look who I have with me.
Cheers.
That's Aaron and Madeleine. I got them to come up from Key West and show them where I am from. So we are having a day out here, and actually what I want to show you to start off the video is that I am going to, hopefully without anyone noticing, I am going to steal some of these grape leaves and use them if we catch a striper. I'm going to use them, well, if you don't want to jinx it, if we catch a striper, use them to cook with, like I do the banana leaves down in Key West. So I'll show you a little bit of the North Fork, but we'll probably pick up tomorrow morning on the boat.
One time I stepped on one. He's out.
So I'm pretty excited because I've never dove New York. We got Tristan over there, his dad Rob.
I'm really excited.
Madeleine, Aaron, Micah inside. And thanks to these guys, we get to go out. Tristan and I have been talking over Instagram for a bit, going back and forth, and he made this all happen, set it up. And we're gonna go, there's a couple of different species here on Long Island, but right now we're gonna target black sea bass, maybe cod, fluke, and striped bass. And we'll see what we get. We'll go over those more once we put some in the boat.
Yeah.
If.
When? We're manifesting that.
I said if earlier and you corrected me and said when. But I'm gonna get suited up. These guys are already getting in the water.
Positivity. Yeah, right.
So we'll see you underwater. Let's see. You're getting good ones. They're not small.
They call me the Seabass master.
Who calls you that?
Hey. They do. I'm shivering, so cold.
So these guys, black sea bass. They're, I don't want to say a cold water fish, but the water up here is relatively cold compared to Florida. So the meat tends to be a little bit sweeter, a little bit firmer. These are 16 inches and 3 per person. My underwater footage was an absolute disaster. So if you want to check out some of the shots on these guys, some of the underwater footage, go over to Key West Waterman and look up his New York episode, Striper and Black Sea Bass, and you'll get to see some really cool shots. Mine, not so cool. So what I'm gonna do with this guy is actually cook him whole So have my fork, scale them. So one of the reasons that I'm also going to cook this whole is because of the shot placement on it from spearfishing. So for you spear fishermen out there, if you were to try to fillet that, sometimes it can get a little bit messy. You'll lose some of the fillet, where if you cook it whole, you can bypass having to cut out some of that meat, and it's a little more forgiving. You'll get more yield. The color is so cool. I definitely have scales going up my shorts right now.
I've been hit in the face by like 7.
behind the camera, I am lucky. I got Aaron, Key West Waterman, being so kind as to film for me. And now, if I didn't say it enough, I will say it again. Huge thank you to Tristan, his father Rob, and Micah for taking us out, taking us on an incredible adventure, accommodating me and Madeleine, more so me. I am not an incredible diver, I'm not a deep diver, and I'm not a very well-seasoned diver. So those guys really made sure that everyone on the boat had a spot that was filled with fish that we could get to, and it was very, very sweet of them, and really huge thank you. And when you come down to the Keys, we will repay the favor. The only issue with filleting here is no running water to get the scales off. So give me a moment and we'll be right back. So all I'm doing, we scaled them. I'm gonna split them and gut them and cut a couple of slits in the side so that I can get seasoning in them, and then bring them back to the house, and that's where we are actually going to cook. And now here is something. So right in between, I like to cut all the way up. Right here, there's almost what I would call like a breastplate that is really easy to get through with a serrated knife. And it is something a lot of times I cut through really aggressively, and the fact that I haven't cut my hand. So one of the things you can do that is a little bit safer, a little bit smarter, put the knife up, with a paper towel to hold your fish steady, and cut forward. But it is a lot easier with the serrated knife. This guy's even tougher than all the other ones.
It got you.
Guys, you might just have to take my word for it. I think we're leaving that one whole. There we go. And when cooking a fish whole, I do like to take the gills out, because the gills, if they are cooked and get into the meat, can actually lend a bit of a bitter flavor to the meat. And that is it, all in one shot. All of my guts and gills are out. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and we'll meet you back at the house. So we're back at my mom's house and we're gonna do mid-afternoon lunch. I'm gonna do the Seabass whole. And this is gonna be a very, very simple recipe. But one of the coolest things that I have, while we were at the vineyard, I grabbed some of the grape leaves. And I think I mentioned that early on. I know at the beginning of the video I said that we were going only for striper, but you you got to go with the flow when fishing and find what you get. So we did get striper. I'm going to do that in another video, but for this video, we're focusing on the black sea bass. Now, whenever I cook a whole fish, I like to incorporate onions for the reason that they release moisture. So as it's cooking in the oven, the onions are releasing, helping keep that fish nice and moist. But if you put them in raw, what happens a lot of time is that the fish will cook before the onions cook, and you will end up with kind of raw, crunchy onions, and that's just not that great. So what I like to do is slice them up and give them just a light saute, and then add them to my whole fish, and then bake them, and they will finish cooking through. They will still have moisture in them. They will still add moisture to your fish, but they will be a much more palatable consistency, or texture rather. Just a little bit of salt to help those sweat down while they're going. 2 cloves of garlic. That is a monster clove of garlic.
I was thinking.
So this was a really, really special trip for me to get Madeleine and Aaron to come see, because we have only known each other in the Keys, or they've only known me in the Keys. So to have them come home and get to fish the fishery that I grew up fishing and see my childhood house and all that stuff, pretty fun. And couldn't have made it happen without Tristan, his father, Rob, and Micah. So it was late in the day and it started raining, so we kind of cut it short at the dock, and I had wished that I had gotten to cook for Tristan, but I feel like there's going to be opportunity in the future. So now, while those are sauteing, I'm just going to cut cherry tomatoes. This was also from the North Fork of Long Island. They have a lot of farms. That was all farmland at one point, and a lot of them are still there. And they grow some of the most beautiful, perfect tomatoes. They're sweet. So what I'm going to do with these, leave them raw, and we're just going to throw them into the pan that we're going to throw the fish in. And while the fish is cooking, these are going to slow roast and basically make a sauce. So one of the other things that I almost forgot that I picked up at that farmer's market is oregano, fresh oregano, which is something not a lot of people get to see, but it gets these little florets at the top, and that is a much more mild oregano flavor, and it is really, really, I mean, it is so fragrant. But that with the tomatoes and the onion and the grape leaves, you might as well just call this dish Italian. But onions, and then a fair amount of salt on there. Pepper, touch of olive oil. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my oregano. So the other thing with fresh herbs is that they're so potent, you don't need too much of them, like with dried herbs. Obviously the dried herbs lose a little bit of their potency, but these guys. And now, what I'll actually do with the rest of this is tie this, hang it, and let it dry out, and then pull all the leaves up. And then I have dried crushed oregano that it's kind of similar to like buying a fish in a store and catching your own fish. Even though it's dried out, that dried oregano will still have more flavor to it than a dried oregano that you buy at the store. Now my fish, I'm going to keep very, very simple. So make my slices, a little bit of salt in between. The one that's hard is the pepper. And just a touch of olive oil on it. Now that skin is not going to get crispy because we're basically steaming the entire thing, and it's going to be covered, but I don't mind fish skin like that. Like if it's not crispy and just cooked through, I kind of like it. So my idea with these leaves, at first I thought I was going to put them on and actually tie them to the fish, but I thought about it more and more, and all we are going to do is lay them on top like this. So that is one side. All right, so my tomato, get them nice and covered. Make sure that they're all covered in olive oil. And now, I'm going to lay my fish with the grape leaves on top. And do the same on this side. Now normally I would put lemon wedges and other things inside, but because we have the olive oil, the onion, the tomato, it's a very acidic dish. It's not going to need any more lemon or anything like that. And worst case scenario, we can squeeze a little lemon on afterwards if it does. Last one for good measure. Okay, this is going inside to the oven. I have the oven up to 350 degrees. I'm gonna put this in, and I'm guessing at this point, because that fish came straight off the ice, that it's gonna be about 25 minutes. So we'll see you in 25 minutes. So one of the things when I'm cooking a fish whole that I like to do is check what I like to call the shoulder. And that's right by the head, the big hump towards there, because that's going to be your thickest part of the fish. So you go in right there. And all I did to see was lift it up, and if that meat peels away right away, that is done. So we are going to move outside and eat.
It's a little wet, just if you don't mind.
Wow.
Ooh. All right.
Are you gonna film us after we take our first bite?
I'm the whole time.
Oh yeah. Okay, I figured as
But
much.
hang on, let me get a spoon so that you can kind of do a little better
Wanna try a
there.
little
I'm gonna need a
tomato.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. So the grape leaves themselves, as you can see, kind of dried up, but they're pretty tasty actually. They're not too bad, but hey. But they did keep the fish from overcooking on the top.
Some great leaf fishes. Oh my goodness.
That's what you can see.
Sorry.
Just stay out of there. And then my tomatoes slowly roasted down, released some of their moisture, so we have a nice broth in the bottom here, also from the fish. But if cooked correctly, Oh yeah.
If you do say so yourself.
Should come right off the bone. Look at the bone there. Give me that.
Thank you.
So that's the other thing with the bone. You don't want the bones to appear opaque white. That means you overcooked it. So they should still be a little bit translucent, a little bit pink, and that means you cooked it just right through. So
Excuse me for saying this, but are these fish normally slim? Because it's not really very much meat on either side of the bone. It seems to be.
These are even bigger than the snappers we get down
Really?
in. Oh yeah.
Okay. So this is typical of.
This is big. This is actually, so that's another thing too. I definitely had to cook it. I said 25 minutes. It was closer to 40 minutes. Now, I'm gonna make Aaron serve himself.
Yeah.
I gave you the hard job of pulling the spine out.
That's all right. Want me to flip it or you want me to peel it?
Peel it.
Oh,
Will.
And that is how you debone a whole fish. You take off one side like I did, grab it by the tail, and if cooked correctly, that whole spine should come out, and you are left.
with a whole bunch more fish.
You are left with a perfect fillet on the other side.
I get the ribs out. Boop. Sorry, I'm going in.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Alright. Move your leaves, Will. You want just fish? You want some flavor on there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, taste.
Oh,
Get some taste.
okay. Do I eat the skin all
I
together?
do,
Okay.
but it's up to you. What do you say?
It's silky and firm and sweet.
Silky, that's such a better word than
Yeah.
I used.
Yeah.
It's a nice replacement word for slimy. Because slimy
Very
sounds
nice.
bad, but silky's actually
Delicious.
oh my gosh. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, yes. It is. Silky's the word.
I
It's
like
just-
it. The
it's
skin
smooth.
on. Skin on's good.
And like Will said earlier, a lot of people it not freaks them out, but they feel indifferent about it, leaving the skin on when you bake it, because it's more moist. But I have no issue with it. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is a good one.
I'm gonna
I think
interrupt
it
you there.
depends on the texture of the skin too.
Yeah, not all fish.
Yeah, that's good.
Because some, and I don't know offhand the breed or whatever, but some of it is very thick and sort of rubbery, even when it's cooked.
Like
Yeah.
a grouper.
So that's not
Right.
very tasty, really.
Oh, this is good.
But this is nice because it's thin and delicate.
Delicate. Yes.
Those tomatoes, the Long Island tomatoes, are so flavorful to begin with, but the fact that they roasted and just a little
Fish.
bit,
Yeah.
they like the flavor concentrated in them, and that little bit of oregano that we put in got carried through everything. That this doesn't need lemon, this doesn't need anything. And you could do this with a mangrove snapper, you could do this with any, say, 2-pound fish. Now the biggest difference is going to be how thick the fish is. So like our mangrove snappers are a little bit taller, a little bit longer. This is a little bit more round, and that's why it took a little bit longer to cook through. But that's a winner.
This is
And the
excellent.
Oh yeah.
grape leaves are really nice.
Yeah. This is excellent.
But all right, this was really great. Have these guys up in New York, and to have them meet my mom.
Mama clams.
I couldn't be happier. So we're gonna finish our lunch, and we'll see you on the next one. Hit like, hit subscribe, and a lot of you have been sharing the channel, which is amazing. Keep that up. It makes the channel grow, and we can do a lot more stuff like this. Thank you.
Thank you. It's delicious.